Hello. Can you talk a little about the origin of this film?
Yes. I'd finished a film in 2014 called Love is Strange. It was the second of two New York stories I'd made. The first being Keep the Lights On, which was about two men in their 20s.
Yes.
Love is Strange was about two men 60 and 70 years old. And I felt that there was a third part of the trilogy, which would be focusing on the relationship between these two young men, 13 years old, to kind of complete the whole story and the generations.
Okay. Can you talk a little about your work on the screenplay with Maurice Zacharias? This is your first collaboration. After Love is Strange, it keeps the lights on.
Yes.
So what you say?
Well, Mauricio and I, we begin by talking about two things, movies
Okay.
and life.
Okay.
And we spend a lot of time talking about both, and somehow we end up coming up with a plot and a set of characters through those two things. In this film, we were very inspired by two films by Ozu. The first
Okay.
was called I Was Born But, and the second is called Bonjour. Good morning. And they're both about kids who go on strike against their
Yeah.
parents. So that was kind of the beginning of the plot for Brooklyn Village.
How did you manage to find the perfect places to shoot your film?
Good locations department,
Yes.
who spend time. I think also living in New York for 25 years, it's a city that I know very intimately, and I
Okay.
know what I'm looking for.
What were your sources of inspiration for that film? For example, movies, books?
The films that we were most influenced by for Brooklyn Village were beginning with a movie called The World of Henry Orient
Okay.
by George Roy Hill, and then two French films that were very important to us. One is called L'Enfance Noue
Okay.
by Maurice Pialat, and the other is Mes Petites Amoureuses by Jean
Okay.
Eustache.
Okay. Good. What was the most difficult challenge that you have met during the production of this film?
I was very worried that the kids were skating without helmets.
Good. What do you like so much in New York? Which are your preferred places in this city?
I have been in New York since 1988, so
Okay.
25 plus years,
Okay.
and it's a city that I know very intimately based on my experience. I live near Washington Square Park. I love my apartment, I like my house, I like my kids, I like my family. You know, it's sort of, life in New York is about the people you know.
Yes, of course. Which scene was the most difficult to shoot to play in this film and why?
The most difficult scenes were the three scenes in the backyard of the family house because of time. I was shooting three scenes in one day, each which, if I had more time, I could have spent a day on each. So I remember the pressure.
Yes.
But we got what we needed.
Good. This film can look as one of the childhood from the adult point of view.
Yeah.
What do you like in this topic?
You know, I'm a father of two 4-year-olds, so
Okay.
I'm very interested in their experience
Yes.
and my experience being a parent. And I think also being someone in my 50s, I think of my life somewhere in the middle. And so
Yes.
both remembering childhood and thinking about getting older.
Okay.
I also love movies about kids, so I think they've been very inspiring.
Can you talk a little about your casting and more precisely with Greg Kinnear and Alfred Molina?
Yeah, I love Greg Kinnear's work. I think he's a total natural. He's someone who never hides behind a character.
Yes.
He always reveals himself, and he's very human and really relatable. Alfred Molina and I had made a film called Love is Strange previously, and I love the guy, and he loves me. So we're able to he wanted to be a part of this movie.
How is it important for you to be here in Deauville? What do you like in this festival and on the French cinema in general?
Yeah. Well, this is my fourth visit to Deauville,
Yes.
and obviously the fact that they celebrate American cinema is very meaningful to me. I love the city,
Yes.
the town, being by the beach, and often I have met some wonderful American filmmakers here because we're a select group.
Yes,
So
good,
we tend
good.
to meet each other here more than some other festivals.
Yes, better to speak together. Yes. What are your current projects?
I'm working on 3 projects. A
Okay.
film for HBO about the actor Montgomery Clift.
Okay.
I'm writing a miniseries for Paramount based on a book called Christa Dora, which
Good.
is set in East Village of New York in
Okay.
the 1980s to the present.
Perfect.
And I'm writing another feature which is about a family taking a day trip to a mountain.
Good. And my next question, what kind of advice could you give to someone who would like to work as a director?
Well, I teach at the graduate department at NYU, and my advice is always the same, which is to look closely to your own life to find the stories you will tell.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Boris.